Hello, Keith Rucker at VintageMachinery.org. So today we're back on the Kurt Vise restoration, and in the last episode we got the base pretty much all finished up. We got it cleaned up, we got it repainted, we got the top of the rails here reground nice and flat and flush. And the next step here is we need to work on the jaws, get those back in good shape. Now, when we got this vise, both the fixed jaw and the movable jaw had some places in it where someone had gotten into it with drills, milling cutters, etc. There were multiple places in here, and you know, I really just wanted to get them fixed. So what we ended up doing was we ended up welding everything up and getting plenty of extra material on here that we can mill down. Now, to do this right, I really felt like it needed to be TIG welded. I do not have a TIG welder. That's something that I hope to add to my shop at some day in the future. But I happen to got a good buddy that does. In fact, some of you guys may watch Jim Bollinger over at DoRite Fab. Jim is down not too terribly far, about 4 hours south of me in Orlando, Florida. And a couple of weeks ago, I was going to be down in the Orlando area. So I brought these parts down and stopped by Jim's shop, and he was kind enough to spend some time, and he helped me get all this stuff welded up. So on the steel one here, we just used some, I can't remember exactly what we used, but we just used a regular filler rod. This movable jaw is cast iron, and on it we used some silicon bronze, and he TIGged both of those together. Now, Jim's got a YouTube channel, DoRite Fab, like I mentioned, and he actually shot a video on doing this. I was there at the shop with him, and he's going to post that, or it has got that posted over on his YouTube channel. So instead of me trying to show you what we did there, I'm just going to let Jim tell the story. So I will encourage you guys to run over to DoRite Fab, take a look at that video, and see how we did the repair job on these vises. And I will put a link down in the description. So down when you look at the video, down below it, and when you have it on screen, down in the description will be a link to Jim's video where you can go take a look at that. So go check out DoRite Fab. And in the meantime, we're going to get back on, now that we've got these, and start working on getting these things cleaned up. Let me zoom you in here and show you what it looks like with the job finished. So on the fixed jaw here, we had I think we had where a milling machine cutter had gotten into this, so Jim built that up, and you see he left plenty of material for me to take off. He didn't want to have any voids or anything in there. We had a little drill hole here, he plugged that up, and then over on this side again, we had some places where a milling machine cutter had gotten into it. This one is some kind of steel. This jaw, the movable jaw, it had, I think, a hole in it back over here. We counterbored that and filled it all in, and then also filled up some places here. I also have just a real light milling cutter mark here. I told them we weren't going to try to fill that in, because once I get all this back on the vise, I'm going to grind the tops of these flush with one another. And I think what it will do is we will just grind this down and actually grind that out to get that cleaned up. So next step, what are we going to do? I could take this over to the milling machine and kind of knock most of that off. But quite honestly, I think what we're going to do is we're just going to do all this over on the surface grinder. And it's going to take a little bit extra grinding, but I think that's just what I'm going to do. So I'll tell you what, let me get this over here on the surface grinder, and we're going to start cleaning these up. First thing I want to do is I want to get the two faces parallel with one another. Then we will work on getting the sides done. The sides need to be fairly square. I don't know that it's absolutely critical that they're just dead nuts perfect, but you know, we want to get them as close as we can. And then of course the top we'll do on the vise. And same thing over here. We will get the two faces parallel. We'll get the sides done, and then the top we'll do over on the vise. So I'm gonna go set this up on the surface grinder and do some more grinding. All right, we're back over here to the surface grinder. I've got the fixed jaw, and first thing I did was I took a stone and stoned this down, and there were definitely some dings in here And I just made sure that I stoned it until I was getting good contact all the way across. You know, that just kind of took off some of those burrs that were on here. My magnetic chuck is clean. I'm just going to bump this up against the fence in the back and turn the mag on. And this should be ready to go. So we'll come in here and touch off on it and start grinding. Let me oil this thing up and get it ready to go. All right, we're gonna start by just hitting that high spot there, which is where the weld is. It's gonna come down until I'm just touching it right there. Turn on some coolant here. And we're just gonna probably do this part by hand here. I'm not hitting anywhere else on here yet. And I'm not. I appear to be. Alright, we're touching all the way across now, or pretty much all the way across. Feed down another 1,000. Quite cleaning up on that very edge there, so I'm going to do another 1,000. And I'm pretty happy with that. So I think I'm just going to feed down about 1/10 and just take a light path. Do 2/10. I'm going to spark back across it without moving it, just let it spark out. Alright, I'm going to call that flat. Flip it over now and grind it parallel to the other side. And we'll come in here. Mag that on. and we should be able to start where we left off. I'll just make a pass there, and then we'll just get that ground down until it cleans up. With how that is. There's a couple little scratch marks in there, but I'm not going to worry about them. So I'll just go back across that and let it spark out. All right, I'm happy. So now we're going to do the movable jaw, and it gets the same process. The other side's been stoned, chuck's clean, put it down, and we'll just do the same thing here we did before. I think that pretty well got it, so we'll just spark back across there. Well, we've been doing some grinding off camera, but I've got all four sides of both of these all ground flat and square. Same thing with this one. I'm not going to do the bottoms. They're pretty much original surfaces, and the tops we will grind once we get it all on the vise. So this is getting ready to start to go back together. So my fixed jaw will go there. My movable jaw, actually I think it'll go this way, but it's really coming together. So let's, I got my rebuild kit in. Let me get that all put out here, and we will start reassembling this. I think we're going to go ahead and start putting this thing back together. I will mention that I went to the CURT website. I ordered the repair kit, which is basically the hardware for the things that need to be replaced when you redo one of these. And I think it was like 15 bucks. It wasn't too bad. I also have a parts diagram here. See, I got one that's blown up. I'll put that one up here. You can kind of see what we're doing. So first thing we need to do is get this piece back in. Before I do, there's a couple of pieces on here we need to replace. So there's this little split washer looking piece here that's got a brush in it. I'm just going to pull the old one off. Here's the new one. And let's see if we can get it on here without messing it up too bad. You know what? I think I'll just screw it on here. Next are the thrust washers, and there's an O-ring on here. I'm going to pull the old ones off. We'll start by putting the new O-ring on. Okay. Now there's a washer here. It goes up on here like such. Then we've got a little thrust bearing that goes in here. And let me grab some oil. And I'm just gonna oil that up real good. and then another washer goes behind it, so that thrust bearing kind of goes in between two washers, and then this whole piece just kind of comes up in here like such. Where's my dead blue? All right, we need to kind of get that O-ring up into the hole there where it goes. It's got to go in there. All right, let me study this a minute. Something's not right. You know what? There's a washer that didn't come out that's up in there. So let me get that washer out. That will explain why it's not going up in there far enough. I'm sorry, folks, but I turned the fan on. I know people complain about my fan noise, but I see I'm looking over there. It's over 90 degrees out here in the shop today. It's really not that hot, but man, it's just humid as can be. It is just, the water's just coming out on me, sweat. So anyway, deal with the fan. All right, much better. So now I can put the washer on the end. And again, this is a spiral snap ring. It goes on here, and I just kind of have to expand it out to get it up into that slide. I think they actually make a tool to install these. I don't have one. I need a smaller screwdriver. We'll move the camera down here where y'all can see this a little bit better. But we'll get that kind of started over in there and just kind of work it around. All right, that's in there, and that will hold that in place. Okay, very good. All right, so we're ready to install the screw here, or the nut. A couple of comments. First off, that little brush that I slid up onto the shaft, it actually presses in here. I got to look at the drawing and I realized that's what it does. There's got a little like nylon brush on here, and that keeps the chips from getting up into the nut, which is actually a pretty cool little feature. And I also squirted some grease up in there to go ahead and lube that up. This piece slides in here like such. And when I ordered my rebuild kit, I ordered me a handle for this vise because I do not have a handle, or it didn't come with a handle. Yeah, that brush is doing a good job. So I went ahead and just ordered one. Kurt has, I think it's a $25 minimum order, and the rebuild kit was only 15 bucks. So the handle, I think it was like 20, 25 bucks or something. I can't remember, but I just went ahead and got it. Next step here is to put the movable jaw on, and the way this works is you got a little angle in here, so 45-degree angle, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but up in here there's a matching 45-degree angle, but there's a little half moon radius in here, and what you get is you get this little half ball. It's a little steel ball, and it floats in there so that when you tighten it up, the flat of this ball hits the flat of this 45, and it pivots on there, so you got a nice, self-centering. It's going to roll around on that. Now, one thing people recommend you do is to kind of hold that in place is just take a little dab of grease. It also gives it some lubrication up in there. So I'm going to put a little squirt of grease up in there. put that in there like such. And then what you do is you just come in here and that holds that in place. And next there is a set screw that goes in the back here and right here, and that basically tightens it up onto that. I'm going to go clean this up real quick and we'll install that. We'll install this little jewel. All right, that should have that locked down. And there you go. The movable jaw is moving. Just what we want. Very good. Now, we are going to install fixed jaw here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a little oil in here. And for that, we're going to flip it over. And we got two socket cap screws to hold that in place, and there is a little lock washer thing in the bottom there. And we go get a big enough hex key to put those in. And I think what I'll do is we'll torque them down like such. That should be good. All right, flip it back over. And it is starting to look like a vise. So that's as far as it goes without having vise jaws in there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these vise jaws. We're going to grind these before we put them in here, but I'm just going to put it in here. What I want to do is I want to tighten this up so that when I grind the tops of these, that I'm grinding it under pressure, because that's how we'll be using the vices, under pressure. And the next thing for me to do is take this back over to the surface grinder, and we are going to grind the top down, and we'll pretty much have this vise all ready to go. So let me go get that set up on the surface grinder. Another grinding job. First pass done. We're going to feed down another 1,000. Come back across. It actually cleaned up pretty well, except for just, we got a couple of little boo-boos in here we're still cleaning up. And of course, this area back here, we're going to have to go down a little bit deeper to get that worked out. But really just 1,000 pass cleaned most of it up, which tells me it was pretty flat to start with. Well, we should be taking our last thousandths off of it right now. It took 15 thousandths to get it completely cleaned up. We had a little place over here that where a milling machine cutter, end mill had gotten into it, and I just wanted to get all that out. So anyway, 15 thousandths, cleaned it up, and this should be the last pass. I'll probably let it spark back across without feeding it down after this pass. And the finish still looks good. So taking some time, but he's looking good. Almost done. Well, there you go, off the grinder. Everything's nice and smooth. I did hit the edges here with a file, and I just ran a stone over the top to deburr it, so it kind of messed up the surface finish a little bit, but it's flat, man. It's good. It's fine. So all that's left now to do is I've got the jaws in here, and I want to give those a fresh regrind as well. Put those on. I'm through for today. It's about 6 o'clock, and my wife's wanting to go out to eat dinner. I'm gonna go take a shower, and probably tomorrow evening we'll get those ground, and this Kurt Vise will be finished. All right, I got my hard jaws in here, and we are grinding them down. Had to take about 2 thousandths, probably 1.5 thousandths really off the first side. I just flip these over. That's 1 thousandths pass, and looks like it's going to clean up all the way across. Next, we'll work on getting the edges of these. Here we go, guys. I got these all done. I put a little light layer of oil on them, so that's probably the discoloration you may be seeing. These jaws fit right in here. Get my socket cap screws going. There you go, guys. One like new Kurt Vise. So I'm gonna call this done. We're gonna put this puppy to use. The only thing that I'm probably gonna do, and I'll do it off camera, is I think I'm going to grind the tops of these jaws on the vise. You know, I can't pick up much of a difference in there, but feels like there may be just a little bit. So it probably is just 1 thousandth or so, but I'm gonna probably just knock that off. Make sure the tops of those vices jaws are even with one another. But other than that, she's done. Wow, what a difference it makes. Well, there you go, guys. That'll be a wrap on this series of videos on the Kurt Vise restoration. I think it came out really nice. In fact, it came out nicer than I thought it would when I started on it. The vise was pretty rough looking when it came in the shop, but it looks really nice now. It did come on a swivel base, and I'm not going to do the swivel base right now, but at some point down the road, I'll probably freshen that up as well. Quite honestly, you know, I think I've got swivel bases for almost all of my mill vices, and I've only used them a time or two. They're not something I use very often, but occasionally you need one. So I may do another one of these vices down the road, and when I do, maybe we'll go ahead and just go ahead and make that swivel base look good as well. But with that, that's going to be a wrap on this video series. As always, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all your comments. Please share it with other folks. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate your subscription to my channel. And with that, we'll sign off. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you later.